Renee Richards, controversial transsexual tennis player who last year was banned from the courts. Now she's starring for the Sunbelt Nets, and she has 2 victories over Billie Jean King.
And speaking of unorthodox, Françoise Deur has a funny grip, gets down on her knees and hits the ball, has a house full of trophies, and has a big bank account.
You'll be seeing these stars and others here tonight in World Team Tennis. From the Checkerdome in St. Louis, Missouri, it's the Sunbelt Nets against the Anaheim Oranges. Good evening and welcome. I'm Julie Heldman, and with me here is the tennis professor, that hilariously funny man you've seen on TV Tennis Tips, Vic Braden. And Vic, what do we have to look forward to here tonight?
I think we're going to have a barn burner, frankly, because Anaheim and New Orleans are very close. The men, Cliff Drysdale in non-arbitrage, Mark Cox, John Lucas, the basketball star, are there. But they have to play second fiddle to people like Wendy Turnbull, finalist at Wimbledon last year, Françoise Deur, great French player, and also, I'm missing one big one. Who is the biggie?
Rosie Casals is here.
Rosie Casals. She's here. Helen Gourlay-Cauley, Wimbledon winner in the doubles. So the women are the top seeds here.
And who's going to win tonight?
Living 8 miles away from Anaheim, I go for the Anaheim Oranges, although in television we're not biased.
You're not biased. You're wearing orange. Well, in the Western Division, the surprising San Diego is still ahead, but Golden Gate is trying to catch up very quickly. They were having a slump in the beginning, but they're coming on fast now.
But the story in the Eastern Division has been Martina Navratilova at Boston. They're way up, but New York is closing fast. New Orleans, as you know, leads Anaheim by 1.5, and Indiana has a cellar.
As you probably know, tonight's broadcast is on videotape. That's so that you'll be able to see the very best of World Team Tennis action here on HBO. At the end of the first set, Sunbelt Nets lead the Anaheim Oranges 6-3 as Helen Gourlay-Cauley and Wendy Turnbull beat Françoise Deur and Kathy Harder on one service break on a 3-all point. The second set of the night was men's singles between Andy Pattison of New Orleans and Mark Cox of Anaheim.
Serving first for New Orleans, Mr. Andrew Pattison. Players ready. Play.
Andy Pattison, who last year played for a lot of teams and this year is playing for the Sunbelt Nets, serving against Mark Cox.
1-0.
Mark Cox on the near court, Andy Pattison on the far court. Last year, Andy Pattison was not playing World Team Tennis regularly, but he played for a couple of teams as a hired gun. We had him here on HBO.
2-0.
Pattison can play fabulous tennis, but he's not consistent. Why is that, Vic Braden?
I don't think he has the confidence, but he did win 2 big events a couple of years ago in a row, and he shocked the doggone world. I think one was in South Africa. I remember Monaco. He did such a big job, but you got to be able to make the big bucks. You got to be able to play well every night.
Why doesn't he play well every night? You think it's temperament?
You don't. He's got all the strokes, as you can see, but what makes him fold at 30-all or deuce is something that no one ever really knows, you know, and I don't, I have to get inside that brain a little bit. I'd like the shot at it.
New Orleans.
You want a shot at his brain? No, we won't take a shot at his brain, but Andy Pattison wins the first game, winning his
Leads
serve.
the match 7-3.
Mark Cox starting off with a service ace. Now, neither he nor Andy Pattison thought it was even vaguely close. I'm not sure that the linesman, Bob Easton, was actually calling the line.
He was not there, Julie. You're right on the money. He was off position. That's what Marty Reeson is calling. And the point is being replayed. Ken Stubbs, who is
Ken Stubbs is the official referee. Dottie Fulton was not covering the right line. She's in the near court.
Right, but Ken Stubbs, right, ordered the point replayed.
Right, quite right.
1-0.
Julie, we should also mention that the coaches threw us a ringer in the lineup. They had Anaheim had a non-arbitrage playing, and all of a sudden, the last minute, Mark Cox was the player. Sometimes they do this to psych the other team out, as you know. Eli Nastasi, coach of LA Strings, does it all the time. you can never count on the submitted lineup.
It's true. Well, sometimes Nastasi would put his mother's name on if it was possible, just to confuse the other team. But usually he goes with pretty much the same team. Anaheim, on the other hand, has 3 eligible men players for singles. Anan Amritraj, who's ranked 3rd in the league in total offense. Mark Cox and Cliff Drysdale all play men's singles, so it could have been any of the 3. They put in Amritraj's name, but actually it's Cox who's playing.
Game, Anaheim.
Big hitting singles this is.
Games are 1-all.
I thought Pattison's ball was going to go out, but at least Cox volleyed it, punched it right in the corner.
New Orleans leads the match 7 games to 4.
Andy Pattison serving for the second time. His team ahead 7-4.
Now, Julie, we were talking to Mark before this match started, and he said he has to go with his strength, and that's what he found out. He found out that he has to go with his cross-court forehand, stick with his strong side, don't try any down-the-line forehands if you don't own them. When you play a big-time match, only hit the shots you own.
Mm-hmm. Is that true in team tennis, then, that he would, in a pressure situation, he would do that more and more often?
Even though he feels his opponent knows what he's going to do, he still feels that his strength is better than the opponent's anticipation. Interesting concept. Well played. Oh, well played. Mark Cox. Beautiful playing.
It's that little backhand dink.
1-2.
So, right, that's a tough shot.
Vic, I think it's true that Mark had something to overcome, though, because he used to get very tense in tight situations. Not all players do. Most players do. But he had that to overcome in the last couple of years.
Oh, we all have.
Ace.
Service ace.
I'll tell you why you get tense is when you got a record of losing 8 straight years. You get tense. The British players were having trouble for 7, 8 years winning big matches. And the biggest match he won was the first amateur to win
Football.
a match against a pro when the Opens came in. 68, he beat Poncho Gonzalez at Bournemouth. And that was a big thing. But it didn't dawn on him that he was that good till about 6 years later.
Isn't that amazing? Part of it, I think, has to be the British press. Well, there's now a 3-all point here. Mark Cox has played himself into a possibility of breaking serve. He chooses the left court, going to his strength. Fine return. Oh! Powerful backhand passing shot from Mark Cox. He's not the fastest guy in the world on his feet, but he seems to have figured out all the different court angles. There's Coach Marty Reeson. He'll be playing later. We saw a point before, that big point, Vic.
Well, this is clever right here. Watch the little touch plays. Now, he gets a good lob, but he guesses. Now, he's faked right there, and the guy came back to him. And Andy Pattison is mad because he went for the fake. Now, watch this. A little soft, close to the tape, and another soft one, which Andy Pattison can't hit hard and put it away. Now, Mark Cox following it up to the net. Very smart play. Andy Pattison lobs. The ball goes wide. The winner, Mark Cox.
That's Renee Richards sitting on the bench with her mixed doubles partner, John Lucas, behind, coming forward. They are one funny bunch together. They tease each other so much, make your ears burn. Mark Cox, his lefty spin serve from the opposite court, coming at Andy Pattison in the near court.
Out. 0-1.
Smart tennis, Julie. Lob over your opponent's head, take the net away from him. Andy Pattison hit a very nice lob. Mark Cox tried to play a drive. He should have caught that ball a little higher.
Mark Cox varies where he places his serve a lot, doesn't he?
I think that when he's serving well, he's got tremendous potential because he can hit almost a ball that resembles a right-hander's serve, and that makes the defensive of the receiver have to move a little wider distance. He can hit flat on the left side. Not many left-handers can do that.
You can hit an actual flat serve, you mean?
Fairly flat. It has fewer rotations than most people.
Out. 1-2.
He's in a little bit of trouble now because he's let Andy get the net a couple of times against him.
But we always remind our viewers, statistically, a server of this caliber is always good for at least 2 points a game, so he's got one coming here somewhere. Didn't get it there.
1-3.
That means that Andy Pattison has 3 break points in a row if he needs them.
And may upset the statistics. Ooh.
And he does.
Game New Orleans.
He's really belting that topspin backhand, Andy Pattison, and he used it to break Mark Cox's serve.
Oh.
Set score 2-all.
Andy Pattison was looking for the ball. Ball girl threw it at his feet. I tell you, no one gets more nervous than ball boys and ball girls who work, because it's such a big opportunity for them to be on a court with the big names, and sometimes they can't release the ball from their fingers.
And a second service ace from Andy Pattison, who is playing rather inspired right now. As we said earlier, he can play as well as anybody in the world.
First service.
And certainly team tennis with a fast court, it looks like it would help his kind of game. He really does like to get all over the net.
Mark Cox anticipating one.
2-0.
That's a new shot. I haven't seen Andy Pattison hit with that much topspin on the backhand side.
Service
Look out.
3-0.
3 service aces for Andy Pattison, and 2 were down the middle and 1 down the right side. He's getting a lot of spin on the ball tonight. Oh, a near 4th.
You don't want to let a man like this get angry like Andy Pattison, because when he gets hot, he's tough.
Game New Orleans.
Woo!
He guessed right then. He did Mark Cox's trick at him. He just ran right in front of where the volley was. Mark Cox taking his time a little bit. Got to get his first serve in at this stage, huh? They got to get his racket on the ball.
So right, but even then, when Andy Pattison lost the point, he hit a very good shot. Mark had to make a great volley. Andy Pattison is playing out of his skull.
That ball dipping all over.
I think he's loving it. He's got a little Borg in him.
2-0.
You hear the Anaheim bench over there saying, great, yeah, they got to cheer their team on. It's hard in a way because there's neither team here is a home team, so they don't have a whole crowd behind them. They flipped a coin, I think. Anaheim becomes the home team tonight. Oh, it's a great return.
It's amazing.
2-1.
The guy can play well.
You know, you're right, Julie, about the home team advantage. We've done some studies, and the players do hear all of the noises, and they are lifted to tremendous heights by the crowd. Well, when no one's the home crowd and the cheering is equal or it's kind of quiet, it changes the perspective the players have on the game, and they have to kind of adapt to the fact that they're in enemy territory.
And Andy Pattison, that time, he came in on a wing and a prayer and got passed. Vic Braden, we have some exciting tennis coming up. Not just World Team Tennis, we have Wimbledon on HBO. And we'll be having stuff here that nobody else in the world will be seeing. Not nobody else in the world, nobody else in America. We've got the stuff that won't be going out in network. It'll be going out on HBO.
Well, you can't beat that because it's the biggest event. Every tennis player knows that this is the lifetime ambition, lifetime dream to win Wimbledon.
It's true.
Oh, and you get a chance to watch that last point. Here comes Pattison. He's on his way in. But look out, he's got to guess. He goes north, ball south.
That was a very soft approach shot. Andy Pattison serving from the far court to Mark Cox. Pattison of the Sun Belt or New Orleans Nets.
Now, if I had to say why Andy Pattison has trouble in tennis winning the big ones is because of that kind of play. Overplays balls sometimes. Looks so sharp. I know all you people out there in tennis courts, your friends and neighbors tell you, God, you look so great. How come you never win? And I think that happens to Andy sometime. But right now, he is winning. Ooh.
Mark Cox backed around that backhand, ready to hit a forehand.
Because he loves, that's his strong suit. He can hit that forehand topspin, and especially cross court, he does it so doggone well. And boy, he ladles that thing. If you're sitting on the court, the pop almost knocks your ear off.
Mark Cox, of course, is English. There's no reason I should say, of course, Mark Cox is English. He went to Cambridge University. It's a degree in economics. Andy Pattison, on the other hand, Rhodesian. Abides now in South Africa. Oh, a great gap!
Woo! Beautiful play. Mark Cox told me last year, Julia, that he was thinking of that his age was getting to him. He probably would not be able to come back to World Tennis because all the young players want to spot. And here he is, playing very, very well.
Now it's break point, 1-3. Andy Pattison, who had a service break before. Down 3 break points himself.
But you'd seen it on your screen too, all that it was really 1-2.
Double fault, Anaheim. So that Cox like that. Mark Cox serving.
Out.
In the near court.
1-0.
Cox squints a lot. I get this. Sometimes I think he doesn't see very well, but he seems to see something fine enough.
Well, when you're from Great Britain, you're not used to the sun or lights.
Mark went home last week. Before,
That's it.
Before it always rains in Great Britain.
Out.
And what happened?
Scores 1-all.
They're suspecting a drought.
Yes, it's they're having particularly warm weather. Of course, in Britain, anytime it's over 54 degrees, they call it quite warm. Oh, a great forehand passing shot by Andy Pattison. He loves to hit that topspin off of both wings.
But just that flurry of errors really got him into hot water. And when a great player starts to make errors, he or she finds a way to calm down and play conservatively until they get back in there again. But don't run off a big string of errors. It's too hard to recover sometimes. Again.
It's another great passing shot.
1-3.
Now Mark Cox in trouble again. Mark asking Dottie Fulton, as she was sure, but we were sitting right on the line. It did drop in. Umpire Ken Stubbs telling Cliff Drysdale, who asked him, Drysdale the coach, yes, it was good. Break point. I haven't seen Pattison try a slice.
He did on one backhand service return a little chip, and I noticed it fell into the bottom of the net.
Still break point.
Look
and
at
a great
that.
return of serve.
Game, New Orleans. Set score, 4 games apiece.
4 games all.
New Orleans leads 10 games to 7.
Andy Pattison trying to bring himself up a little bit extra. Been service break against service break here. 4 games all.
Pattison serving to Mark Cox. And Mark's trying to figure out where Andy Pattison had dinner. Because he wants to go to the same place. Andy Pattison is going crazy. He's playing so well.
But just one thing about World Team Tennis. Anything can happen, particularly with the men. I mean, it's true that there's a little bit more variance with the women, but if you look at the statistics with the women and the men, the top women often ends up over 600. The top man is about 530. They're much closer, much more beating each other back and forth.
Look out. You're right about that, Julie. The records indicate in World Team Tennis that the women usually have carried teams into the finals.
A little bit is that because all of the best women are playing team tennis this year, all but Yvonne Goolagong. Mark got caught behind himself.
Yeah. And especially hit a very good service return, but Pattison hit such a deep ball off of his low volley, and I couldn't believe that shot. And then Mark got caught. He was a little late. Last minute decisions usually are losers.
Get lucky. Flick the wrist.
I know, but most of the lucky players don't get invited to major events.
Oh, wonderful forehand return. As you say, Vic,
3.
go into his strength.
Pattison hadn't even finished his follow-through yet on the serve, and the ball went by him. I don't think I've ever seen a harder service return in my life.
Two, 3.
Pattison now still down, break point. Gonna have to get in there very quickly. Will he try a change-up serve?
You better get that ball into Mark's backhand.
Looked like he wanted to. He just missed it by a bit. Second serve.
Yeah, Mark's going to try to get around that ball and hit a forehand if he can. Ooh, Andy may lose his rhythm. I can get you double fault sometimes.
Oh, and a
Game,
great
Anaheim.
backhand. 5th service break of this set. That's very rare in men's singles. 5-4, Mark Cox is leading. All he has to do is hold his serve to beat the exciting Andy Pattison tonight. The guy's played better than we thought he would. And he's still
1-0.
not winning. First ace for Mark Cox. Andy Pattison's had 3.
Well, that'll send you to another sport, won't it? You play your very best, come in second.
I'd like to take back what I just said. I read my notes. It's a second ace for Mark Cox. And that's the thing. It's a medium fast court. It's polyurethane fiber. All colored court. Laid down on cement here. And for men, that means they ought to hold their serve more than these two guys have. Now Mark trying to hold his serve to win the set.
Boy, that service return is such a big item, and he's got to have one.
A chip. Good lob. Oh! Andy Pattison looked like he was out of the point when he was pedaling his arms and thrashing, going back there, and that was lucky, I thought.
Never quit, though. Never quit. He
No,
lobbed
he didn't.
well. He came back. Crowd really appreciates the play.
Mark Cox got himself in trouble with that half volley.
Score is 2-all.
2-all. Mark Cox still only has to win 2 points to win his serve in the set.
Well, we said it was going to be a barn burner, and it already looks like that.
Fault.
You're right, Vic. Only 2 games separate both teams. 1 if Mark Cox wins this next point.
And Terry Addison made the right play. He got behind, ran around the backside. I said Terry Addison. Andy Pattison. I don't know where I got Terry Addison. I'm still sticking with all those corners.
Game Anaheim.
And the set
Anaheim
goes to
wins the
Mark
second
Cox,
set.
who played
6 games
much
to
more
4.
solidly.
New Orleans leads
Not
the
as
match.
flashy, but
10 games
brings
to
his
9.
Anaheim team back to 1 game difference.
Mark Cox has played a fantastic Pattison. I haven't seen him play this well. All of a sudden, then he started to fold. What did you do to make him crack up?
Well, I didn't do anything specific. I think the game really hinged on return of serve, and I hit a couple of good passing shots from the backhand, which surprises everyone, you know, Vic, with me, on break points, and they were crucial. It was a strange sort of set because we had a lot of breaks of serve, and this court is a pretty fast court. I got ahead and then got a bit tentative, but fortunately I was able to just open my shoulders enough to get the final break.
Well, Andy Pattison is starting to look like Bjorn Borg. Big topspin, float the thing over at your feet, topspin lobs. Is that a little bit new, or is he creasing his topspin a little bit more or not?
I think he's been working on his forehand. I think that's absolutely true, and he's trying to get more topspin to increase the margin for error. As you well know, topspin shots keep the ball into play, and they allow you to hit the ball high over the net, and it stays in play. But he's always been a threatening player, and he's very quick, as you can see, and he gets right on top of the net. And if you love him, he seems to be able to climb 6 feet into the air to put away the smash. So he's a bit formidable at the net.
Mark Cox is back. Anaheim is back.
In the first set of the night, Helen Gourlay-Cauley and Wendy Turnbull of New Orleans beat Françoise Dour and Kathy Harder of Anaheim 6-3. But Anaheim came back in the second set with Mark Cox beating Andy Pattison 6-4. Although New Orleans was still ahead 10-9. But then Cox teamed with coach Cliff Drysdale against Pattison and coach Marty Reeson, and they won very easily 6-2 with a lot of very fine returns of serve. That meant at the end of 3 sets, Anaheim was leading 15-12. The fourth set of the night was the women's singles between Wendy Turnbull of New Orleans and Kathy Harder of Anaheim. Kathy Harder has played 2 sets in team tennis, 2 sets of singles, and has not won a game until tonight. But when she won her first game, her bench went absolutely wild. And now she's held her serve 3 times. She's trying to hold it a 4th time to go up even at 4-all.
1-0. Scores 1-all.
So far, Wendy Turnbull, who looked like she was going to run away with it in the very beginning, has been hitting an awful lot of forehand errors, and that's given Kathy Harder a way into this set. Both players serving and volleying, doing their best when they can get into the net quickly. And again, yet another forehand error from Wendy Turnbull. Why, Vic Braden?
I don't know. She looks like she's pulling away from the ball, too. Trying to hit it too quickly, not staying with the ball. Got to complete every shot.
She'll get it. She's that fast. Oh, and she made a winner. The Rabbit, Wendy Turnbull, running down a shot
2-all.
a lot of other women players wouldn't have even reached.
But remember, Kathy Harder, even after she made that play at the net, she did not gain any advantage going forward at all. She has a tendency to move just laterally. She doesn't close off angles, get closer to the net. And Kathy's going to have to do that if she's going to beat players like Wendy Turnbull.
Second serve.
Ooh.
And this set is, there's no 2 ways about it. Both players a little bit nervous. Wendy nervous about her forehand. Kathy about her second serve. Going for depth there, not for power. Short lob.
2-3.
I love Wendy Turnbull's overhead.
I think she has very good movements, but on that forehand side, she has definitely made some errors. She's committed a few passing shots down the line backhand. Julie, what you tell me, you've watched her play many times. She seldom misses that shot.
Oh, at Forest Hills last year, she just could not miss. She'd go the same place every time, and she'd go within 2 inches.
Out.
Look at that forehand, the simplest forehand.
Receiver's
And she
choice
made a
of court.
mistake.
Maybe it's because Kathy Harder, she's supposed to beat Kathy 6-love, and she's a little bit afraid now that because she hasn't, she's put her team in some tough positions. 3-3 sudden death. Ooh, and it's an ace! It's an ace!
Look at that
Anaheim.
smile on her face.
She loves it! Boy, I'd like to go to dinner with her tonight. It's going to be cheap.
Anaheim leads the match 19 games to 16.
Wendy Turnbull serving from the far court. 4 games all. Here in the women's singles, Wendy Turnbull thought she had an easy one here. Rosie Casal's not playing tonight. She thought she had a pushover against Kathy Harder, but Kathy's been much better than she expected.
1-0.
The shot that Wendy Turnbull hit now, that forehand passing shot down the line, she's hardly hit any of them so far. Wendy, as you can see on the screen, most improved player of 1977, and that's practically an understatement. The year before, she was playing in qualifyings on the Avon Tour. Now she's all the way up to number 7 in the world.
2 serves.
One of the top players all told. She credits a lot of it to World Team Tennis and to Marty Reeson. The team she's playing on now, the Sunbelt Nets. Last year was called the Cleveland Nets.
Service
And a
ace.
second ace of the set. This time it's for Wendy Turnbull.
2-0.
But anyway, she got to play singles in Cleveland because Joe Zingali, owner of the Cleveland Nets, traded Martina Navratilova to Boston for Wendy Turnbull. And Wendy, who was perfectly content to play in Boston, all of a sudden was alone. She had to play singles in Cleveland. And Marty Reeson said, okay, we got her as a singles player.
3-0.
I'm going to tell her she's good because she is. She's the fastest. She's just amazingly good. And every day he spent time saying, Wendy, you're that good. You can win. You can win, Wendy. And then she began to believe him. Great volley.
Game, New Orleans.
At 4 games all, Wendy Turnbull closed into the net quickly, played everything right. She cut down her mistakes, and her mistakes is what was giving Kathy Harder a way into the set. You can see Marty Reeson there talking to his pupil. It is very common, Vic Braden, it's an interesting psychological factor that strong male coaches in team tennis are a factor. Aussies, Americans, they tend to make a big difference.
Well, at least in all the interviews I've done with the women players, they keep referring to the fact that the person who helped them the most, and the name always comes up a strong male player. You're right, Julie. It's hardly ever been a very soft-spoken, kind of retiring, regressive type player that's helped them. It's always been somebody who says, get out there and hit the ball and go after it. I'm going to work your fanny off.
Perhaps an exception is Fred Stolle?
Although he's tough. I don't know. I traveled with him an awful lot, and he's one tough guy. He would just as soon leave the print of the ball on your body over and over.
Kathy Harder, down 5-4. Everybody thought she might have lost another 6-0 set. But here she is serving to stay even. And she's keeping her team ahead.
In trouble right now, though.
Yes, she is.
0-1.
I think someone needs to tell Kathy that she could play this game, but she needs to make a decision at the net. She's indecisive. As a result, she loses on both sides. She'd go one way or the other. She at least gets 50%.
I think a part of the problem is she has come off the bench the last couple of nights when Rosie hasn't been playing. And because of that, she's gone out without much confidence in her background of team tennis. Oh, what a great backhand!
I think she heard you.
Yeah, she ripped that backhand. No fear there. That's one side she likes to hit. She loves her whole backhand side.
It's much better than her forehand, though, I think, when she steps into it. I'll go one way or the other. She got it.
2-1.
Wendy Turnbull's major improvement last year was her forehand, but it seems to have taken a little step backward just recently.
Because she's trying to underspin a lot of balls, and that's difficult to control. You know what I like? Is Rosie Casals, whom Kathy Harder's replaced, is cheering her from the bench.
She sure is. Good team player.
3-1.
Kathy Harder up 3-1. About to get even at 5-all. She moved in on that one, Vic Braden. And on that one,
Anaheim.
Kathy turns to the bench again and gives him the fist. She says, next Wimbledon, then the world.
Set score 5-all.
5-all. Wendy Turnbull, near court. The rabbit, they call her, because she's so fast.
Service ace.
Ace number 2 for Turnbull, and she hit one unreturnable one.
Wendy's not just fast, she's strong.
She is very strong.
Watch her on low shots. She takes an awful strong arm, and she can muscle the ball from a low position. Not many people can do that unless they've been working on weights or something.
Did you know that she was tested as one of the stronger players?
Really? No, I did not know that.
2-0.
Wendy, as you can see, playing under 500. Last summer she was doing much better. That forehand, and sometimes the confidence goes a bit.
Wow.
Lovely half volley.
Geez, Kathy Harder had a beautiful service return. Still lost.
Well, Turnbull has an awful lot of good tennis in her. She's just making a play at the big time in the last year or two, and she's 25. So she's gonna keep going up for another year or two, I think.
I don't even know anyone that young.
Out.
But what is true about women's tennis is that usually the very good players show their stuff at 16, 17. At 16 and 17, she was always fast, but she made a huge number of mistakes.
Out.
Another forehand error.
3-2.
But the ball's not rotating with any topspin. She can hit it with topspin, too. Nearly every error she's made, she's turned the bottom of the racket under and tried to chip it back. She lost control of that.
Game, New Orleans.
I'm more interested in this young ball girl at the end behind Wendy Turnbull. She doesn't have a natural throw, and she's working so hard, but she throws the ball back to the net person. The ball's going in the stands and everywhere, and she's working so hard.
Kathy Harder trying to stay even. Oh, did she belt that backhand?
She belted it, but she was slow in getting to the spot, and so she had to jump at the ball. And when you have to jump at it, you're not going to carry that.
Kathy Harder, one of the hardest practicers in tennis. Not women's or men's tennis. She just practices all the time. Wendy was there. She just blew the forehand again. Most players play 2-3 hours a day during tournament season, World Team Tennis season. Kathy Harder plays 8 hours a day. She has 3 tennis dates a day.
One, two.
She needed a little gymnastics work to get that one.
Yeah, but that's a tough play for her to lose right now because she had the setup. She could have gone back deep and can maintain control. So she's in trouble. She's going to have to come with some big plays.
She came up with one there.
That's one.
Behind where Turnbull came from, she'd been hitting almost every single forehand volley cross court. She went down the line for a change.
And a nice deep first serve.
First serve.
You can see there when you get a close-up of Wendy, she's joined the gold brigade. Most of the top women players wear a fair amount of gold around their neck. She's got a couple. Martina wins that prize. That was the backhand. She just missed it by a tenth there.
A nice hat. She hit return serve well, and Kathy made a very nice half volley. She deserved to win the point, that's for sure.
Point for tiebreaker. If Kathy Harder wins this point, we'll go into a 9-point tiebreaker. If not, it'll be set point for Turnbull, tiebreaker point for Harder.
Out. Game, Anaheim.
Kathy.
Games are now 6-all. We'll play the WTT 9-point tiebreaker. First player to 5 points wins the game and the set.
And
New Orleans.
this is really a surprise Wendy Turnbull going into a tiebreaker against Kathy Harder. Kathy Harder, she was supposed to have beaten her quite badly. Oh, and yet another forehand mistake.
1-0 Anaheim.
You know, when you start to lose your shots, you want to at least stay with them and keep your head down. But now she's just feeling down there. Wendy Turnbull's eyes are looking right up at the ceiling when she made the hit. But she's lost her confidence.
Out.
1 point all. Now Kathy Harder will serve the next two. I also get the feeling that Wendy Turnbull is moving her hips in way too quickly. Is that true, Vic?
Well, I don't know. I'd like to see which is coming first. The hips turning too far, too soon, or the head lifting. I wouldn't. I'd have to see it on slow motion before I could tell that.
Double jeopardy.
Out. 2-1 New Orleans.
Kathy Harder down 2-1. She's still done terribly reputably. She's kept her team. The worst they can do is be down one more. Wendy Turnbull, fine forehand passing shot in the crisis. Leads 3-1 in the tiebreaker. Kathy Harder wasn't supposed to do this well. You can see Marty Reeson giving Wendy Turnbull some advice. But if Kathy, even if she loses this, she was expected to lose it by 5 or 6. And here she'll lose it only by 1 if she loses at all. Oh, what a way to get an ace.
Caught the crack.
4-1 New Orleans.
That is amazing.
And it caught some kind of bubble, too. Now she's got a whole slew of set points. 3 service aces in this set for Turnbull.
Game and set New Orleans. 7 games to
Wendy
6.
Turnbull just does it, squeaks
Anaheim
it out.
leads the match. 20 games to 19.
But still, Anaheim leads the match 21 to 19 because of the surprising good play of Kathy Harder. Let's go down to courtside and see Vic Braden with winner Wendy Turnbull.
Wendy Turnbull, everybody has a bad day. You're human. And I know that you were disappointed with yourself because we could see in your eyes. Am I wrong or right?
You're right. I was a little disappointed with the way I played, and, you know, I wanted to help the team out as much as I could because we're down 3 games going into the ladies singles. So I was hoping to win, you know, by a break, 6-3 or even better. But, you know, Kathy served well, and I was unable to break her service, even though I had, you know, break points on quite a few games.
You're making so many errors off the forehand side, and you were feeling for it and trying to make some corrections. What was going wrong with your forehand?
Well, I wish I knew at the moment. It just, you know, I felt very uncomfortable. I think I'm standing open and trying to hit the ball instead of turning side on and getting my left shoulder around and, you know, getting my feet in position. And, you know, I think if I turn my body, I'll be right.
Wendy Turnbull is human. She can have a bad night, but she's also a superstar. She won.
Serving for Anaheim, Anand Amritraj.
Anand Amritraj and Françoise Dour up against Renee Richards and John Lucas.
1-0.
All right, Julie, I said it'd go down to the wire in the final set, and this is the final set, and it is down to the wire.
Only a 2-game difference between these two teams.
2-0.
Anand Amritraj, older brother of Vijay and Ashok, who play for the Los Angeles Strings. And an ace.
Service ace.
Anand.
3-0.
He's been playing fabulously in team tennis. He's 3rd in the total offense in team tennis. It looks to me like he's foot faulting.
Game Anaheim.
You little devil, I think you're right. You're not supposed to be watching stuff like that.
I should leave it to the expert. Okay, I'm going to ask you the next time to watch if he's foot faulting. John Lucas, normally you'd see him playing basketball for the Houston Rockets, shooting baskets. Now shooting serves.
And boy, I tell you, when I just suggested that his pride would be hurt when he lost some pro matches, and he has not lost in the mixed doubles. Boy, he said, what pride for losing? I haven't lost. He's a crowd chaser, too. He's got a lot of movers. 2 lefties.
Yeah, you can see by his walk. He's a cocky player. He's not just a basketball player, though. You can tell he's got a lovely, talented tennis style.
Yeah, that's right there shows you that he's not really ready for the major thing. major events right now because he gets easy volleys, but he's so talented, it's unbelievable. He can put you in tough position with that lieutenant topspin right there, too.
It's true.
Makes the ball dip. Boy, if that individual had stayed in tennis instead of basketball, there have been a lot of players like Borg and Connors in deep trouble.
Look at that big lefty spin.
He's strong.
He can do everything right, too.
Out. Game New Orleans.
Lucas pats Renee on the fanny and says, let's go. They talk to each other all the time. They got a great repartee.
Yeah, they tease each other like crazy. Françoise Dour with her time bomb of a serve. She sets the fuse. It goes off next week.
You're right.
She's serving to Renee Richards. Frankie in the near court. The two lefties play for Sunbelt, or as some people call them, New Orleans.
0.
And John Lucas just made a great move. Frankie was ready to hit that volley, and John Lucas faked her, and she took her eye off the ball and missed the volley.
That's typical of people who hit a lot of topspin. They sometimes come over the ball and go in the net too much.
That's right. Got a little bit of too much brush, a little too early. Françoise Dour, look at that record. And she did it all with that lousy serve. It just kills me.
But she's so fast at the net. And like other great modern doubles players, Ilana Kloss and Linky Boshoff, she doesn't try to do too much with a volley until she has a real opening. But when she has the opening, she goes for the angle.
Ooh.
Lucas hitting right to Dour, but it strikes me that Anand Armitage is standing over so far, Lucas could go down his alley and keep him honest.
Except that Anand is so fast, all the Armitages, except Vijay. Vijay's not too fast, but Ashok and Anand are very fast.
3-2.
I don't think there's ever been three brothers who have played in this big-time tennis, have there?
I don't know of three. There have been a lot of brother acts, yeah. There's a sister act coming up from Northern California where there are two sets of twins, and they're all good.
Yeah, and I taught the Fernandez girls.
That's right.
Out. Game Anaheim.
Anand hits it right at the woman. That's what you're supposed to do. Oh, Frankie, look at her, always talking at herself. The score is 23-20. The Oranges over the Nets, as the Oranges also lead 2-1. Before tonight's match, I talked to Renee Richards. Let's take a look at that interview now. Renee Richards, you've played mixed doubles as a man and a woman. Now can the men players intimidate you on the court?
Well, Julie, you know, I'm not very easily intimidated by men or women. But in the tennis sense, I think the men try to intimidate me just like they try to intimidate any of the other women. And the better a player they are, the more easily they can come close to intimidating me. But some of the women can be intimidating too. When Betty Stova is returning well, she's awfully intimidating to the man at the net. And when I'm serving well, I can be intimidating to the man on the other side. So I think it works both ways, and there is an attempt at intimidation all the way around in the World Team Tennis Mixed Doubles.
Renee, your biggest thrill, was that beating Billie Jean King in World Team Tennis?
Well, it certainly has to be a very enjoyable victory for me. I don't know if I would add things up and say that's my biggest thrill. It's hard to say that any time you win a match that's in a one-set format that it can be considered a tremendous thrill. I think if you win a championship and it's 2 out of 3, it's got to be a more exciting thing. But obviously I was very excited to beat Billie Jean, and I'm looking forward to playing her again.
And sometimes your big thrills is when your whole team wins?
That's the biggest thrill. If we can win our division, or if we can get into the playoffs and win the championship, that'll be the biggest thrill of the season.
Thank you, Renee.
Football.
Well, that's interesting. They called a foot fault Renee Richards serving to Françoise Dour.
Double fault.
And they've just called 2 foot faults on Renee Richards.
Boy, that's a gutsy move, but good for the lines person. If that's what you feel is happening, you've got to make the call. Oh, but now Renee's trying to hold her foot back, and it's hard for her to serve. Look at that serve.
Really pulls the opponent way wide.
0-2.
Trouble, though. Down 0-2.
Well, I played mixed doubles, but I like to be playing with a left-hander who can throw that ball that far out of the court. Boy, you're lethal.
Good return from Dour. Great! Oh, John Lucas, so fast.
0-3.
Big trouble now on Renee Richards' serve. She's got to get that first one in wide.
1-3.
What can she do to Frankie?
Kill her.
She was trying to go into the body then.
That's a good move right there, too.
Missed the first volley.
2-3. Correction.
His game.
Game.
I was going to
There's
say, it was
miscalled,
pretty good. There was 1-3 on the serve, wasn't it? And she lost the point. She had break point. She was down break point.
20-24. On an arbitrage. Giving back Renee Richards some of her own stuff, even harder, going wide.
And you're still waiting for that footfall to be called at the other end.
It's true. I think he's foot faulting. They called it on Renee Richards. Oh, great forehand.
Scores 1-all.
It's true. This guy could be a fine player. John Lucas likes to talk about himself as the second best American black player.
Service
Hey,
ace.
look at that. Renee was waiting for that wide one. Well, he may be, but he'll have to prove that in singles competition.
Yes,
that's
I
for
agree.
sure. He'll get plenty of chances, and I wouldn't bet against him. I'll tell you that.
Service ace.
No,
Correction, she called a fault.
umpire said ace first, but the lines lady, Dottie Fulton, had called fault.
Dottie was trying to get out of the way,
Right.
and she
3-1.
couldn't get the word out.
Anand Amritraj winning a serve quite easily. Point for 4-1 for the Oranges.
Fault.
Couple of good backhands from Richards.
Well, I tell you, when Renee puts everything together, she can still handle the women's singles. I can convinced that she still has the physical strength, even at her age, to go all the way because she's so strong on the shots. But I think her stroke production is lets her down a little bit. See, why would someone be hitting those drives instead of more topspin shots and then wait for the opening? Why take those chances? She's strong.
Service ace.
Another ace from John Lucas.
He's right. He told me he hasn't lost anything to lose.
His third ace.
Yeah, he wants a rhythm, boy. He wants that ball quickly from the ball girl.
He needs to. Down 4-1. His team down by 5. You got to find something awful quick.
2-1.
It's interesting that on some of the strength tests, Wendy Turnbull ended up stronger than Renee Richards.
3-1.
Now, does amaze me.
Remember, we were saying before, Wendy Turnbull is a strong one.
I hand it to Renee because, boy, being out of tennis for so long and then coming back and playing this kind of caliber.
Out. Game, New Orleans.
John Lucas wins the serve quite easily for the second time, but unfortunately in this mixed
Anaheim
doubles,
leads
those are the only 2 games his team
4
has won.
games to 2.
While we have a moment, let's see that interview that Vic Braden did before the match with John Lucas.
John Lucas is one of the shortest players in professional basketball with the Houston Rockets. That tells you something about me. He also broke Bob Cousy's record for assists, 12 assists in 1 quarter. But NBA basketball is now over, John Lucas, and you have a contract here for professional tennis. Now, what makes you think you can go from basketball to pro tennis? That's tough.
Yeah, well, what makes you get up each morning? You know, you really don't know. What I try to do is get out and do the best I can. I used to play tennis 3 months out of the year, and I was on the Junior Davis Cup team that consisted of Brian Teacher, Raul Ramirez, myself, some of the other players. And I had played tennis before. Maybe I should have concentrated and gone into tennis permanently, but means a financial dollar, I took basketball. And, you know, timing has been the most important thing in my life. I was the #1 draft in basketball. So, you know, you really don't have a choice then when you have to go in tennis or basketball. You know, I'm unproven in tennis as of yet, and I've been getting a chance to play.
All right, but there's the element of pride, and you're not used to coming in second in the field of 2, and all of a sudden now you're playing, and you have to get used to losing a little bit. Does that hurt?
I haven't lost yet. Who said I lost? I've only played a few times, and the few times I played, we haven't lost yet. So maybe tonight we'll get beat, but I doubt it.
There's the confidence for you. That's John Lucas. That's why he's great. He doesn't intend to lose tonight either.
Françoise Dour serving to Renee Richards. The only 2 games that Renee Richards and John Lucas have won in this set
have been on John Lucas's serve. That thumping noise you just heard was the sound of the ball against Lucas's leg. He's not worried. He's been pushed worse in basketball.
Scores 1-all.
He can go down the line, he can go cross court. Ooh, what a return.
1-2.
John, I love him. He goes over, he can't stay away. He's got to hit her in the butt for something. He's really good. Boy, he thinks she's on his team in Houston. He's saying, come on, we can beat Washington. We can beat the L.A. Lakers. We can beat anybody, Renee.
Oh, no.
Football, what a joke. Her foot reached the net before the ball did.
Double fault.
I hate to laugh, but that's awful.
Yes,
That is awful. I remember I took her out once when I was working with Tracy Austin, when Tracy's only 5 years old. We're going to try to help her. Tracy could serve better at 5. I swear to you. And yet Tracy could have played Frankie and not won a game at that time. Frankie's so good on the recovery. But if she would have had a serve,
Renee Richards on the far court, serving to Françoise powder puff serve Dour. But my, what a return she has.
yep, she does everything so well, except that serve.
Yep, it was good.
1-all.
Hey, John Lucas has not made more than 4 errors in this whole doggone set.
It's true, that one volley on the way in, that was the really obvious one. The rest of the time, he's played fine tennis in top-class competition. Great return. Oh, what a volley.
That's not bad. In or out?
Out.
Just
Oh,
Almost out.
goodness gracious. She is mad.
I can see
Look
green.
out.
And there's no rebellion from her bench, so she got the idea. It was long.
Oh, too bad.
2-1.
John Lucas, he was an All-American at Maryland in both tennis and basketball.
3-1.
An article about him recently in Sports Illustrated. There haven't been too many athletes who've been top-class pro in 2 sports. That's the 3rd football called on Renee Richards.
Game, New Orleans.
And Lucas, he's looking that score all the time. That guy's really fighting and hustling.
Games are 4-all.
Anand Amritraj has won his serve twice very easily. If he can win here, he wants to get his team that much closer. The winning team in team tennis.
The ball was a fault. Linesman was unsighted at this.
Sorry, they just called that a fault, even though the linesman didn't call it. Umpire overruled.
Turns out to be a big point, too.
0-1.
Lucas crossed at the right time, had a miss-hit winner.
Ooh, is this close? Look at the implication. 25-23 if Anand
Yes.
loses this. It could end up in a tie.
In a super tiebreaker, it would end up.
Super tiebreaker.
If, well, of course, it would go to Lucas to serve.
Out.
Yeah,
Score is
we're
1-all.
jumping the gun. Anand Amritraj is serving awfully well. Even if it does look like he's foot faulting, but I guess the thing is he isn't touching the court with that back foot. It's coming over the top of the line.
Out.
Uh-oh.
1-2.
See, they're in a position now that Wendy Turnbull was in their favor. They didn't think they would lose this. And to close it out, they're a little tight right now.
2-all.
Nice deep serve to John Lucas. And boy, what a time to pull it off. Now the pressure's on Renee Richards.
Three, 2.
Left.
2 serves.
Amritraj to Lucas. Big point again.
Fault. Hold it in. Seconds.
Oh, great
Game,
volley by
Anaheim.
Anand Amritraj. Amritraj and Dur are ahead 5-4. If they win the next game, their team wins the whole match. Coming up next, Vic Braden, the movie Orca is going to be coming on. And I get frightened with movies like the killer whales and all of that.
Well, Richard Harris, that's not bad. And remember, in this one, a killer whale, if you can believe it, seeks revenge against the man who murdered his mate.
And right here, we have a killer John Lucas trying to bring his team even.
1-0.
Lucas and Richards have to win this set to give their team any kind of a chance. If they win it 7-5, if they get to even to 5-all, and then win it 7-5, they go into a super tiebreaker.
Out.
1 point all.
Score is 1-all.
If they win it 7-6, if it goes into a tiebreaker and they win the tiebreaker, then they will go into 1 game of overtime. And if they win that 1 game overtime, then it would be a super tiebreaker. Whatever it's getting, down to the wire. Mix up.
Oh, good play by Lucas.
2-1.
Lucas and Richards this year have been Sid Ball and Kristen Shaw. No pushovers. Great serve. Watch down, Lucas. The crowd's into this.
And he brings it back to 5-all.
Games are 5-all. Anaheim leads the match 26 games to 24.
Françoise Dur, last time she served, she was broken.
And tough play. Tough play.
0-1.
That guy's a fireball, that John Lucas. He's really firing up Renee, too.
Watch Anand take off.
Lucas trying to cover the whole court there.
1-all.
He can do it.
Frankie's got to try and get her first serve in here.
That's right.
Ball.
Oh, now watch this balloon ball. If Renee can get a good return.
Two, one.
Renee's had some trouble with her contact lenses. She's one of the finest eye surgeons in the country, and she should know about these things, but she's tried 3-4 different kinds. She's had a lot of trouble playing indoors, seeing the ball.
Boy, he decked that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, pressure on Frankie for get the first serve in, and if she does, the pressure's on Renee to get a good return. Big point.
3-2.
Frankie got it in deep.
Game
Good serve. Francoise Door. She did it.
That's pressure.
They lead 6-5.
And so the tension goes over to Renee Richards, who's got to hold her serve, or the evening is over for the New Orleans Nets.
Well, she threw that one in there.
1-0.
That's the third time of the night that the net judge, her name is Scott Hartig, has nearly been decapitated.
Out. 2-0.
I'd play mixed doubles with John Lucas anytime. He covers the whole court.
He is fast. He is very fast. But he loves it. He's having such a good time.
Football.
Foot fault number 4 against Renee Richards.
What a fine half volley by Renee Richards under pressure.
3-0.
Tiebreaker point now, 3-0. Lucas barely getting back in time. He was howling off in between points, and Renee nearly served. Oh, that was a fine return. On
Now play the 9-point.
Okay, got it wrong.
umpire got the score wrong.
He's getting excited. It's a big match.
3-1. Correction.
Ken Stubbs, and he doesn't make too many mistakes. He's been around a long time.
A lot of spin on that one.
Fault. Did you call a fault? Yes. She called a fault.
Oh, no. That,
Second serve.
yeah, she called the fault, but she was coming from a far position, so that's why I made my comment. She was on the run on the hit and was out of position.
Double
Ooh,
fault.
what a time.
Ooh, what a
3-2.
time is right.
What
That
a, what a time for a late call,
That's
too.
right. The late call. It wasn't that necessarily that the ball should have been called in, because I think it was out. But the late call disturbs that rhythm.
Out.
Fine
Game New
serve
Orleans.
to bring us to a
Games are
tiebreaker
6-all.
time.
Now play a tiebreaker.
First 2 points must be served by Anand Amritraj, which means if it has to go down to the last 3 points of the tiebreaker, they will go to the balloon ball, the powder puff, the serve of Frankie Dewar.
And that means Anand would be poaching like crazy.
The ball is wide.
Frankie complaining, umpire overruling.
Ooh,
Out.
very close.
1-0.
Dangerous play, though.
She had to go for it, though. The whole middle was taken, covered by a good doubles player. I thought she did.
Fault.
1-0, Amritraj serving, John Lucas returning. And a great one.
Score is 1-all.
Lucas to serve the next 2 points, I think.
Well,
He's bouncing along.
He's a fireball. Look, he's saying, come on, we haven't lost yet, and we're not going to lose.
2-1, Anaheim.
So it's 1 point to 2. Anaheim's leading, Lucas serving.
All right, now the pressure's on John, because Anand can get a service return in there. He hit it. Good for him.
Out.
And of course you go for the woman's alley,
Score
or
is
you go
2-all.
for her belly button if you have a chance. But he missed. 2 points all. Marty Reeson, one of the finest mixed doubles players in the world, jumping out there. Rosie Casals, another one, giving her team advice. Both of them are benched at the moment, trying to help their teams on.
Score is 2-all.
Well, I'm sorry. Frankie isn't going to serve the last two.
It will
Renee's
be
gonna
Renee,
serve.
right. Ooh, nice return. Frankie looks a little nervous.
3-2, Anaheim.
Boy, that was close.
And that could make a bit of difference. It's really important for John Lucas now to make a good return, and Frankie will help him out.
You know she's got to get the first serve in, but she hasn't gotten one in since last April.
She said to her partner in a very French accent, "Can you stay the other way?"
Ooh, interesting. Look out. Ooh. Weak lob, but she made a very intelligent decision, though, because Lucas has been returning well off the forehand cross court at her feet, so she's going to at least make him go down the line on the play, and that was a very clever.
So it's 3 points all. Last 3 serves are going to go to Renee Richards, if they're needed, last 3. And it was an excellent move. Anand Amritraj gives his team match point.
Ooh, is that big? That big. Watch for Lucas to go.
He didn't.
That's going to land.
Out.
Oh! What the decision.
Score is 4-all.
I thought it was out. By maybe a hair.
Boy, that was close, but you were...
And so it's double set point.
Ooh, pressure.
Match point to Anaheim. Set point to New Orleans. And a great return and a great volley.
Ooh, Frankie wasn't up there.
Oh!
Game, New Orleans.
Beautiful, beautiful.
We now go into overtime.
It's time for overtime.
New Orleans will serve first.
New Orleans gets to serve first, and that's good news for them because they have to win 1 game to get into a super tiebreaker. They get to a super tiebreaker. They'll have to stay with mixed doubles, but there can be substitutions if they want to.
That's not correct. That isn't how that was.
Cliff.
What are we holding?
Cliff is saying it's not correct that New Orleans should serve.
Go ahead.
Cliff documents. He's really a statistician. He wants the rule to come up. Yes.
So you guys should remember it was only 3 days ago. Well, we do remember.
On the court, Cliff Drysdale was arguing, no, it isn't New Orleans.
New Orleans will serve first.
And they went up and talked to the umpire, Ken Stubbs. He said, oh, yes, it is.
1-0 New Orleans.
That last remark from Marty Reeson was, can't you remember, it was only 3 days ago. The point was these two teams met 3 days ago and went into a super tie, overtime and a super tiebreaker. Little needle there from the two ex-compadres.
2-0.
She sure is. She's trying to really pull herself on, though. It is 2-0. John Lucas's serve. If he wins 2 more points, we have a super tiebreaker.
Heavy favorite because he's got that big left-handed serve.
And what a good player. He's much better than I expected him to be.
Out. 3-0 New Orleans.
Not to make Renee at least hit an overhead smash on a point like that. That's a little choky.
Vic Frankie looks choky on the low balls, fine on a high volley.
Out. Game, New Orleans. The match is now tied at 27 games apiece.
That's it,
We will now
folks.
play
We're
the
going
World
into
Team
a
Tennis
super tiebreaker. It's going to be
9 points for the match.
It's going to be the first person to win 7 points in the super
Correction, 13
tiebreaker
points.
will win the match. It's a 13-point tiebreaker, which is different from the normal World Team Tennis tiebreaker, which comes at the end of a set. This is a special one they've set up. One tiebreaker decides the whole thing.
Well, John Lucas has shown me some class, because to come in off of a basketball season and to play like this, he may someday get into the top 10 money makers in tennis, and the only other guy I've ever known to do that was Ellsworth Vines, who did it in tennis and in golf. Was one of the top 10 money winners in tennis and golf. But I don't know of anyone else who's ever played this tough a competition. Bill Sharman did it basketball and baseball.
Dick Grote in baseball and basketball also, I believe. He played for Pittsburgh and Fort Wayne.
Very good. Very good.
Checking the rackets out there.
Boy, they're checking everything. You kidding? They're checking their underwear, their shirts, their rackets, their racket covers.
New Orleans won the toss.
Okay.
And elected that they want to be the last
New
guys
Orleans
to serve.
won the spin and has elected to receive. Anaheim will serve first.
If it comes to
Play.
6-point assault, you want to be serving.
1-0 Anaheim.
If you hear Vic and me talking about nervousness now, that's what we're going to have in a tiebreaker. Seemed like a nervous move from Renee.
Wow. No.
Good move, though.
The score is 1-all.
1 point all.
Good move by Renee, but what set it up was the beautiful backhand service return of John Lucas.
You are absolutely right. Lucas to serve now to Frankie Doerr.
Lucas is talking it up.
2-1 New Orleans.
He's playing lightning fast. He's not giving himself a moment to cool off.
Fault.
Now remember, Anaheim came back and beat New Orleans in the same kind of situation. Now is New Orleans going to reverse the procedure? Look at that play.
Out. 3-1 New Orleans.
Woo, this is tense. And the nun just pounded that thing.
Françoise Doerr yelling at herself.
Get the first serve in.
3-1 they're down. They were ahead most of the night.
Out.
Boy, that's
3-2
important. First serve
New
in for
Orleans.
Frankie is her only hope.
And that wasn't you powder puff. That was a decent smacked serve.
Which shocked Renee.
The score is 3-all. Change sides, please.
Anand Amritraj standing up to that barrage.
And look at all the players, boy. They're off that bench. They want to
Score
give
is
them
3.
that lift.
It's hot in this stadium. It's hot on the court and off because there's no air conditioning here. But it's really heating up. 3 points all in the super tiebreaker.
Ooh, fine service return. Nice play.
4-3
was that tough.
Anaheim.
Super pickup from Anand Amritraj. Gets it past the long arms of 6'2" Renee Richards.
Out. 5-3 Anaheim.
Boy, hand it to Anaheim, though. Son of a gun. They had all the reasons to crack up. And they're leading 5-3.
Anand's playing fabulous. If he wins these 2 points on his own serve, which he ought to do in normal play, this is it. Lucas trying to scare him. Great get from Lucas.
Fast. Look out.
What a get!
5-4 Anaheim.
But I must say, though, Julie, Anand had to put away, and he didn't step in and put it away. He had the opportunity, and he didn't take it, and boy, that could be costly.
6-4 Anaheim.
Unbelievable. Down to the last 3 points. It is match points for Anaheim. Lucas to serve.
That wouldn't surprise me if he won them all.
Got 3 to go.
He's gutsy.
1 down.
5 Anaheim.
Still down 2 match points.
But look what he did. I mean, he's still throwing that racket hit at the ball pretty well, and he's played very little tennis coming in from basketball. He's down. He needs 1 serve to get it in, or if he loses it, it's out. And yet he still wails on it.
A lot of spin on that one.
Game
That's it.
and match Anaheim.
Lucas
28,
gave his
27.
all. When he barely lost, he wasn't pleased. But in the end, Anaheim wins by 1 game. And listen to that crowd. 28-27. Anaheim Oranges over the New Orleans Nets.
Cliff Drysdale, obviously the brain of the Anaheim Oranges. He made all the right decisions at the right moment. Cliff, congratulations. What a match.
Well, thank you. It's nice of you to say I made the right decisions. They're the guys who had to play the points, though. You know, I mean, they're an experienced team. I got a great team, and they did the right thing at the right time.
Well, come on now. Tell me what you told Frankie Dorr, because Frankie was so nervous I could see her eyelashes fluttering up and down, and I know that she had a couple of volleys that rolled right down her thigh. What did you give her for encouragement?
I told her just to play her normal game. You know, there are some people that are more susceptible to coaching as others, and I'm sure you of all people know that, Vic. She's not really very amenable to being told what to do on the court. She likes to do her own thing on the court, rather like Mark Cox. There are a lot of other guys on my team that like to be spoken to, like to be told what to do. I like to leave those that feel that they should be left alone to do their own thing. She came through in the end. She played a couple of really important volleys at the right times.
Well, it looked like it was almost going to be a reversal of 3 nights ago, and when you walked out to question, or at least to ask for the rule interpretation, Marty Reeson said, hey, look, you guys should know the rules that happened just 3 nights ago.
Right, well, I tell you why I did it, because a couple of the guys on my team were kind of excited at that point, as you can imagine. They said, hey, it shouldn't be him serving, so I just wanted to go out there just to pacify my bench, really, and to give my guys a little time to think and to sort of calm down, because I do think it's important to change things up, to give your team a little bit of a rest before you get into that super tiebreaker, particularly if you've lost the last set. That's one of the reasons I did. I knew that it was the right way to go about it. And in fact, it's an interesting rule, Vic, because I think that in a way we started serving that last set, and maybe we should start after the tiebreaker as well, which would give us really a big advantage in one area. In another way, I think maybe the home team, which we were here tonight, should have an opportunity of giving the others the chance to serve, because we do get one more serve, as you know, serving first 3 times.
Well, there's a smart coach for you. He knows how to coach everybody else and how to leave the women alone. The coach of the winning team, Anaheim Oranges, Cliff Drysdale.
Vic Braden called it. He said it was going to be a barn burner, that it would go right down to the wire, and boy did it, all the way into the super tiebreaker. And I really love the super tiebreakers of team tennis. And in that one, Anand Amritraj, he was the difference. He just hit fabulous shots, and he showed why he's going number 3 in total offense in team tennis. And Vic Braden, what do you think was the difference between the 2 teams? It was pretty close.
Well, all these great players, but I have to go back to the last person on the totem pole for Anaheim, Kathy Harder, the girl who had not won a single game until she came here tonight, and then all of a sudden ended up in a tiebreaker with Wendy Turnbull. She was supposed to take gas 6-0. She got her team up into a tiebreaker, won 5 games, and that was the difference.
And that's what's so exciting about World Team Tennis. And what was exciting tonight, that super tiebreaker. And the final score, 28 for Anaheim, 27 for the Sunbelt Nets. Next week, tune in again when we have World Team Tennis at its best. It'll be the Golden Gators against defending World Team Tennis champs, the New York Apples. And it's going to be some of the best tennis you could possibly see here on June 15th. Right now, stay tuned for Orca, coming up next on HBO. From the Checker Dome in St. Louis, Missouri, this is Julie Heldman with Vic Braden saying good night. edition of HBO Sports.